Good evening. It is Sunday night at 7 o'clock. It's WSFL Weekly. I am your host, Jonny Baillie. Delighted to be joined by PG. I was going to say, I'm not going to class you as my guest anymore because for the people that are watching, we're going to have PG on a bit more regularly. So I'm slotting.
I hope that doesn't impact the numbers too much.
I know. Well, we'll see how it goes first couple of weeks, and then we'll make a call from there.
Reassess it.
Aye, so you've got the potential here to work your way into a co-host position. So we'll see how you get on.
Okay, good.
So how are you, mate? Are you all right?
Good, mate. As I was saying just before we came on there, I had a lovely wee fillet steak for my dinner. Bought it at Tesco, made it, and I had a nice wee chocolate kind of cake you stick in the microwave, and then this chocolate sauce files on the ice cream. It was lovely, man. It was really nice.
Nice. Can't hide money, fillet steaks. The rest is in a cost of living crisis, but no, you enjoy your fillet steak.
Yeah, everything's dead cheap when you steal it.
This is true. That's true. And you know how to get away with it as well.
Well, that's the thing. They don't have a challenge policy in Tesco, so
I know. Anyway, it's good to have you. Thanks to everybody that's tuning in. If you are watching us live, as always, your comments and questions are much appreciated. Plenty to talk about from yesterday, although we're kind of all over the place with cup games and league games, etc., etc. If you are watching, please hit the like button on YouTube. Again, much appreciated. Subscribe to the Pyramid Promotions channel. If you're listening in audio form, then download the episode, rate and review on all good podcast networks. Quick shout out to our sponsors, Roxburgh Insurance Brokers. If you're needing any insurance coverage, then get in touch with Roxburgh. GLA Chauffeurs, if you're looking for any executive travel, for any events or anything that you have planned, then GLA Chauffeurs will sort you out, so get in touch with them. And, of course, VSN Sport, if you're looking for some bespoke kit for your club, then Gary is your man, and his phone number is at the bottom of the screen. Okay, PG, I'm thinking all the excitement is in the cups, right? So let's wrap through the leagues quickly because there wasn't really that much to talk about. Well, there's a couple of things, but we'll get through the leagues and then we'll focus on the cups because I think that's going to take up the conversation. And we want everybody to stick around. If you want to hear us dissecting the upsets, 3 massive upsets in the South Challenge Cup yesterday. So stay tuned because we'll get to it soon. So speaking of Gary at VSN, I saw Gary was down at was it St Cadoc's v Troon yesterday in the Premier League. Troon win that game 2-1. And PG, I suppose the only thing that you can say about Troon is they just keep doing what they need to do, and they're putting that wee bit of pressure on Auchinleck.
They're very much they're not getting out and really smashing anybody. You can see that with the goals they've scored, 26 and 12, which is all right. It's not bad, but they're not getting out and smashing anybody. But they've only conceded 11 in 12 games, which shows they're defensively sound. And I know Talbot got 3 points, 3 games in hand, but 5 points in it, you still got to go and win the games, and they're definitely putting pressure on them. And I think that they've got to be commended for the season they've had because we're over a third of the way through, and they're still hanging in there.
Do you know what I think, PG? I think, see, when you get that cushion that becomes more than one win, that psychologically gives you, to me, it gives you a real boost where you know the team has got, because anybody can win one game, of course, but when you know that the team's got to win 2, then I think that puts you in a real strong position psychologically.
I would tend to agree. You know what it's like? Talbot have obviously been over the course, and this team knows so much. I know they won a trophy recently, but they've shown they've got a lot of quality about them, and they can go and dig through and get results. But see if we'll talk about their game later on, obviously, but this might be a blessing in disguise for them. I know they might not think it or want to say it out loud, but being out of a cup might be a blessing in disguise for them to go and win the league this season, because if they were still in every competition, it just gives Troon that wee bit of breathing room where, like you say, see if you can get 7, 8, 9 points clear, even if it's 5 games in hand, you're starting to really put pressure on teams below you.
Aye, and it gives that Auchinleck then go into games knowing they have to win, which is a completely different mindset from just turning up and doing your own thing.
Aye, definitely is.
And on the St Caddock side, we've got a wee comment for Craig there, just saying about St Caddock seem to be getting a bit stronger. Still need to get wins though. That's the issue, isn't it? They're just not winning enough games. Although
I know.
the good win last week against Drumchapel.
Against the Drum, give the Drum a bit of doing.
Aye, but they just need to try and string a few wins together, I feel.
Do you know, I think that even though yesterday was a defeat, I think it maybe gives them a bit of confidence where you're saying, well, Troon, like we've touched on, they're flying, they've won 10 out of 12, they're in great form, they're going really well. Bottom of the league, go and play them, and it's a narrow 2-1. So after a good win the week before, definitely have a bit of confidence coming through, and it might be what they've needed, because I've kind of been critical of them when I was on a show a couple of weeks ago. I just think that they could be on the downward, or it was looking like that anyway. But fortunately, no relegation this season, so it doesn't really matter in the long term.
Aye, unfortunately, it doesn't get any easier for them this weekend. They play away to Hurlford, who'll be smarting after yesterday's result, which again we'll talk about as well. Now, speaking about the Drum, we just mentioned there, you were at that game 2 each between Drumchapel and Pollock. Give us your thoughts.
I actually thought I didn't think it was the highest of quality games, but I quite enjoyed it. It was a decent game. It was a good competition between the two of them. I thought the Drum were the better team first half. Excuse me. Thought they were the better team first half, and I thought that Pollock were marginally better the second half. The Drum did miss a few chances where I think they probably should have nicked it. They're 2-1 up right late on. They're trying to hold on, and there are a couple of chances. Argyle McCoy went through a couple of times. Actually, he's went through. He's done quite well, but one of the ones he's went through 1-on-1. Keeper's done well to come out and force him. He's lifted it over him, but the way he's lifted it, he's kind of went to the left-hand side, and he's not been able to get it back. Defenders getting and cleared it. I think the Drum, in my opinion, probably should have edged it, even though the draw wasn't a shocker. I think the Drum should have edged it. But then you've got Bob McHugh, who I don't know how he's been playing recently. I don't know why he's on the bench, but Bob McHugh comes on and scores. I don't know if you saw it, but scored an absolute worldie last minute of the game. Takes it, 25 yards, just curls it straight into the top corner. Keeper at the Drum, a young guy, Lewis, I can't remember his second name, who I thought had a decent game. It was nothing a good day. It was an absolute beauty, a strike for Bob McHugh.
Yeah, and I mean, Drumchapel, what's your thoughts on Drumchapel's season so far?
Disappointing. Sitting 8th in the league, ultimately if they can go up, it's good. But that's twice I've seen them this season. I saw them in the Hurlford game as well, and I thought they were really poor. That's the worst I've seen the Drum, and I've watched them quite a lot in the last couple of years. I didn't think they were great, but I thought yesterday was a bit better. It looked a bit more solid yesterday. They were. What do
you think's happened for last year?
I think to be honest, I don't think the signings they've made have replaced what have left. Now, I don't mean any disrespect at all, but you look at Paul Fries, who for me has been a phenomenal player at this level for years. He's getting on a wee bit. He's maybe not quite the player he was. They had Carlo Monti come in, who was actually, I didn't realise, had moved to Pollock and was playing yesterday. Carlo, another one who's a B legend and stuff, you know what I mean? And played with the co-winning as well. Such a good player. But they're getting older. They're not as young guys as they were. I just think that losing even though Temps wasn't always great off the ball, he had a bit of magic. So losing him, again, we kind of James Mark up front as well. He wasn't a technically brilliant player, a bit older, but scored a lot of goals. So you're having to replace that. I just think that's maybe the issue there as well. But what I would say, just coming back to Pollock, was I try and watch as many highlights as I can over the course of the season. And with Pollock, if I was playing against Pollock, all I would do was just put the ball in the box, because they're so poor defensively in the box, putting the box. Yesterday, that's where both goals came, for a corner and a cross, and just looks like, to me, they lack the awareness and the aggression. As a centre half, you got to know what's about you, and you've got to be willing to go and smash in and try and win the header. The second goal yesterday, big Rory Lanigan at the Drum. It's a great run for him, and it's a great header, but they're all so square to the side the ball's coming for that they have no idea what's behind them, and that's cost them another 2 points, and it's no the first time this season.
I know, I completely agree with you. I've watched a lot of the highlights, and particularly in that central area, it seems to be in between the posts as well, which is even more
Worrying.
frustrating. And quite often, I've seen a few times where it's actually been the second phase, if you like, where the balls went over the top. There was one that happened earlier on in the season against Beath, I think, and then there was one last week against Hurlford, and it was almost like carbon copies where the ball went over the top of the centre half, and he's just kind of stood there. He's not reacted at all, and then the person that's standing in between the posts has just put the ball in the net, and that'll be, I'll be pulling their hair out with that kind of stuff.
Do you know, for me as well, you look at, I genuinely do not mean to be disrespectful to him because I think he's not the worst player in the world. But you look at Jordan Scott, big centre half. It's so hard to play. See, when you're carrying a bit of weight in that, particularly at that level and the quality of players you're playing against, so hard to be at your sharpest. He's obviously, he'll know what's coming. But see, when you're carrying a wee bit of extra weight, and I genuinely don't mean to be slaughtering them or anything, right? But for me, that's you're getting paid to play football. You should not be. And I'm not saying he's a big fat guy. That's not what I mean.
You can't get away with it nowadays.
I just don't.
You used to be able to get away with it, and boys that were clever. We used to see boys that were a bit well, let's call it thicker set boys like big Neil Shearer and John Sheridan at Beath and guys like that. That never get beat, right? But see nowadays, like you just can't get away with it. You very rarely see boys like that, especially in the Premier League. I remember my last ever season playing. I was playing at Maybole, ironically, and we went to Pollock. And I'd put on a bit of weight and I was feeling a bit sluggish. And I was playing against Alan McKenzie and he absolutely ran me into the ground. And I thought, this is just no good. You know what I mean? Just absolutely no good at all. So I don't think you can get away with it nowadays. But listen, Pollock and Drumchapel, there's the thing though. They're both on 3 wins from 11 games this season.
I know. I don't think it's really good enough for either of them.
I know. Drumchapel, right? This is a really weird one, right? Now, the cups, take the cups out of it. So Drumchapel started the season, they beat Largs, Johnston Borough and Renfrew. Then they got Hostorf winning 8-2 and they've no won a game since.
I know.
In the league, and that was on the 12th of August.
I know, and it's that for me was they looked a wee bit nervy late on. So you're going to try and see out a game, whereas knowing the Drum as well as I do, see if that had been last year, they'd have saw that game out, or the year before they'd have saw that game out. They looked a wee bit nervy for me. And don't get me wrong, at the same time, that's a goal fit to tie any game because it was an absolute screamer. And it's one of the ones that 9 times out of 10 or 99 times out of 100, it's no going in. But when you get Bob McHugh kicking about, there's that bit of quality there that he can go and hurt you. And the Drum missed chances late on.
Yeah, Craig's just asking, is Drumchapel still confident of a licence? I don't know if anybody was speaking about it to you yesterday, but the only update I've had was that every club apart from Atherley is applying for it. So
I spoke to a couple of guys in the committee yesterday at the game. We never spoke about the licence, but the last time I spoke to Hope a wee while ago, he was very, very confident that they were going to be getting it because it's really small issues that they had to face as far as I was aware. So I just don't see there being any issue in terms of that.
Aye, and that battle for that top eight spot, because if you look at if you say, now I know it's a bit weird because everybody's played more games than others, but even if you look at Cumnock in 6th, who are sitting in 14, all the way down to Pollock, who are in 10 on 13. So it's going to come down to the wire. It's going to be great for us because we're going to be talking about it right up to the very end of the season.
And the thing is, you look at Atherley, obviously can't go up. So that has an impact as well, where Johnston Borough, who obviously they've got a lot of football to play, and I'd expect them to be catching up in terms of points, but that makes your Johnston Borough or your Renfrew or Cowan Rangers, that gives them a lot of hope that 9th place might be enough.
Yep, definitely. Okay, moving on to the first division. Benburb picked up good bit of form for them, beating the Grim Reaper of the West of Scotland Football League, Lanark, 4-0. So going in the right direction. I think it's up to 11th in the table. 11th in the table. 4 wins from 10 now. So going in the right direction, certainly.
Definitely. And the thing is, Lanark, I know they're not having a brilliant season, but they hadn't lost 5 out of the last 6 games. So they were showing signs of improvement. But the Bens, that was a good one in the Scottish against Fort William. So that was an important one for them. And then to go and win so comfortably away from home yesterday was good, because that's... Oh, sorry, it was Wick, no Fort William, sorry, Wick. So that's them, the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games, 4-0 yesterday, 4-1 against Gartcairn, which was, I know you spoke about it last week, it was such an impressive result. 2-1 against West Park in the Cup, beating Wick in the Cup, beating the Rock in the Cup. It's definitely signs of improvement, and well done to Gordon and Budgie for turning it around, because they're too big a club to have been sitting in the position they were sitting in.
Yep, and Craig's just saying that they've added Robbie Scullion for Auchinleck as well during the week, so making some good signings as well, so going in the right direction. Okay, Nacho Novo gets off to the perfect start, a 6-0 win away to Ardrossan. Where was this?
Away to a good Ardrossan team as well.
Well, listen, we're saying this, right? Ardrossan have now lost 4 in the bounce. They get beat 5-1 at home to Rob Roy last week, and now they've been beat 6-0 at home to Darvel. So something's gone awry at Ardrossan in the last few weeks. But well done to Darvel.
Definitely. I suppose I'm going to contradict myself big time here, because the 3-3 draw with Whitlets, lost 4-1 to Cumnock, beat Thornywood, lost to Yoker, lost to Nielsen, lost to Rob Roy, and lost to Darvel. So they're maybe in a bad vein of form then. That's me not being quite up to date. But I wonder, you'd normally say, you get that bounce for a new manager, and Nacho Novo coming in is quite an interesting appointment. I don't know if many people have agreed with it in terms of thinking it's a great appointment, but 6-0, I mean, that's probably more than just a manager bounce. That's really good. I wonder if he's implemented a couple of changes, and maybe he's going to be more than just a name coming in.
I hope so, because I said that. I don't know if you saw the show last week with Sean Kenny, but that was my main kind of point, was that I hope they've given them the job on the basis of what he's going to do on the park, not just his name. And I have to be honest, all the social media stuff over the last week seemed to be veering towards the other way. But if you go and beat Ardrossan 6-0 away from home, your first game, then it's there for you. And I think next week they go to Neilston, which will be a really tough one, and Ardrossan go to Cumbernauld away, which is going to be a really tough game for them to try and address this wee slide that they're having.
Well, you look at, we're talking about Benburb and Darvel, both with really good results yesterday. That's two teams that we expect to be doing better than they've been doing, and they've both got squads that are better than where they're sitting. Do the two of them improving? Does that makes the top 8 fight look a lot more interesting as well? Because I won't lie, I didn't put Benburb in the top 8 this season when we did our predictions show, and up until maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, I would have been very comfortable keeping my prediction as that. But maybe a wee change now, and I think this division's very interesting. And I know we'll talk about Muirkirk when we talk about their game against the Talbot, but they've shown they've got quality as well. You've got Cumbernauld United there. It's definitely going to be a very, very interesting first division, because it could be anybody getting up. I'd say down to 13th, down to Kilbirnie. I think they'll probably miss it, but potentially down to Kilbirnie in 13th could be getting up. I think that Lanark won't. I think Whitlets are giving themselves a ridiculous amount of work, and I think that Petershill are an absolute shambles. I can't believe that Petershill are sitting 14th in the league.
I know. Speaking of Whitlets, have you seen what they've been up to this week? Eight players through the door.
Really?
8 players in, not just through the door, in. So
any of note?
Sam McCloskey and Ben Black from Troon. 3 boys on loan from Killie, Archie trainer Sammy Duru and Duncan Barlow, who I think's Ken's boy. They've signed Jamie White for Kilbirnie, Stuart Davidson for Irvine Meadow, and Nathan Lennox for Kilwinning. So they're going for it. Don't be kidded. You don't sign those quality of players and that that's going to be without going for it.
Well, you're looking at the two coming for Troon. You expect them to make a big impact, even though they weren't the regulars at Troon just now. The boys who were fringe players at the top of the Premier League club, so you expect them to make a difference. I know Nathan Lennox personally played for us at Craig Mark, and he's a good young player. Really like Nathan. He's got a lot of quality about him, and he's got a great attitude as well. So I wonder, because draws have been their issue. See if they could turn 2 or 3 of the draws into wins.
Conceding goals has been their issue, PG. Conceding goals.
36 goals. They're conceding 3 goals a game, roughly.
It's just meant that they signed so many players during the summer, and now they're doing it again. You know, like, I shudder to think how much. And fair play to the chairman and the committee at Whitlet's, because you can't say that they've not backed their club, and it's going to be really interesting. Now there's a few going the other way. So Connor Year has came to us at Maybole. Ewan Smith and Jake Graham have went to Girvan. There's another 2 or 3 I've heard that are on the way out as well. So big it's how do you think it'll affect having such a big turnaround in the middle of the season? Now they play Campbelltown next week in the Diddy Cup, so that'll be like that. That should be a win for them to get a bit of confidence up. But how do you think that'll be having such a big squad turnover in the middle of the season?
I don't know. I don't know if it's great for morale, is it? I just don't think that's brilliant, to be honest with you. We're talking about they've been backed, and obviously Craig has mentioned it, saying Whitlet's were going for it for the start of the season, and they were well backed. What's the issue then? Who's the problem? Where does that lie? Is that the management, or is it the players are not good enough? But again, I think that also partly falls into the management if they're picking players who they think are good enough and they're clearly not. So I don't know. I think it's all a bit strange. See, when you're saying they're bringing in 8 players, and how many have went out?
There's 3 of them out just now. There's another 1 on the transfer list that's public, and I've heard there's another 2 or 3 that are available.
That's not good, is it? That's really
to me. It
good.
Sounds like they've decided that the players aren't good enough that are there. You know, it sounds like Brian Reid's come in and said these 7 or 8 aren't they good enough to get me where I want to be. I'm going to need to go and sign boys. You know, and it's it must be a good position to be in as a manager, because you come in halfway through the season and usually you have to work with what you've got. Yeah. You know,
how many managers you know as well, if no better than me? How many managers get an opportunity to do that? It's like you said, you're generally, if you come in at this stage, and I know that Brian Reid's not been there too long, but how many managers in middle of November get to go, right, there's 8 in and there's 8 out? Doesn't happen very often.
No, it doesn't. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next few weeks. Okay, into the second division, Maryhill come from 2-0 down to beat Bonnet, and actually I've got a wee update on this one for us. So I messaged Matt Young just to get a wee update on the game, and he was just saying that he was disappointed to find themselves 2-0 down. First half was pretty frantic and could have been 4 each at half time, with some of the chances missed. Bonnet deserved the lead. Second half they regrouped, changed a few things around. Subs made a good impact. Finished the game strong, but took too long to get started. 3 points after not playing for a few weeks. He'll keep it, and it keeps them competitive in the league. And on the other side, Ian Waite, I text him with my hand over my eyes, because I hate texting managers or coaches when they've been beaten. But anyway, he said first half they were at it, pressed well. Maryhill goalie kept them in the game. They conceded a sloppy goal to go in at half-time 2-1 up. Second half didn't come out at all. Allowed Maryhill to play, didn't press intensely enough, and they popped it around them. Certainly a game of 2 halves, but our performance in the second half, can't complain. We took nothing from the game. So great show of character for Maryhill. Managers, coaches sounds as if they saw it the same way. But Bonnet will be disappointed.
Big time, particularly being 2-0 up, like you said. I actually bumped into Andy Gibson, the assistant manager at Maryhill, on Friday night. I had a wee chat with him. We were at McDonald's with the same mindset, feeding the kids late at McDonald's just to tire them out. But I spoke to Andy a wee bit, and he says they've been doing all right as well. And it's no a secret. I speak quite highly of Mark, spoke highly of him quite a lot on here. I think he is a good young manager. Sometimes these things happen as well. It's just seeing Craig McGee's comment. That was a salad bag for me, Craig. It was but that seems to be the issue for Bonnet, and we've spoken about it quite a few times. Is they're either good or they're no good. And it seems to be that doesn't just mean from game to game. That might mean from half to half, because they'll be bitterly disappointed in the fact that you're on paper looking so comfortable and then thrown it away. And so I suppose it's why they've won 4, drawn 4, and lost 4.
Mm-hmm. I know. And me and Ian and I have spoken about it. And in the past, just about how they're just trying to find that consistency in their performances. Okay, Lark Hall, draw one each way, Les Mehago. I don't really have much else to add to that other than it's good for Les Mehago after losing last week, disappointingly losing that unbeaten record, but going and picking up a point. Maybe on paper doesn't look the best, but maybe it's okay when you think about the defeat last week.
Aye, definitely. Actually, I'm a wee bit with Lark Hall. Les Mehago. I'm a wee bit kind of surprised with the last couple of results. I thought the great one against Greenock, where Greenock are absolutely flying. We'll obviously talk about their great result yesterday as well, but losing to Kilsyth was a real surprise for me last week, because I don't think that Kilsyth Rangers have had a good season at all. And then drawing, and I feel like I'm contradicting myself a lot here because I know what Lark Hall are like. Lark Hall can be very good. They're a bit like Bonnet for me. They can be very good, or they can be no any good. And I really think if Les Mehago want to have any chance of doing it in the league, they have to go and win games like that. I mean, I think they're going to be all right to get promoted, but knowing Darrow, I think they'd have been looking and saying privately about going and winning the league earlier in the season, and drawing 4 games out of 10. It's not quite good enough if you want to go and win it.
I think Bells Hill and 3 were away. I think they're, from what I've seen, by far the best 2 teams in the league, and I think it'll be between those 2 for the league. Okay, into the third division.
They play each other in 2 weeks.
It'll be a good one. We'll start with Girvan drawing 1 each with Glenville, just because I've got a wee update from Lewis at Glenville. Lewis McKim was just saying they were really good first half, could have been 3 or 4 up. Should have had the game done by half time. Second half was the opposite, so another game of 2 halves. Girvan dominated the second half, so a point probably fair. It just mentioned they were down to 11 first team players. The bench was made up with 20s, and also spoke to Dino, who pretty much echoed what Lewis was saying, just about how he was disappointed by how poor Girvan were in the first half. They'd made a couple of changes to the side, and it was just a bit disjointed. Said they were miles better second half, so pretty much exactly what Lewis has said. He just said that Dino was just saying that's the last few that they've started slowly, and he's desperate to try and get to the bottom of it.
I think that both of these managers
can we talk about that? Puzzles me sometimes how teams start slowly, and the easy one that everybody always blames is the warm up, which I think is such a cop out. You know, now I have a theory on it, right?
Go for it.
I don't think how you start games is anything to do with your physical preparation. I think it's your mental preparation. So I think it's the players are not ready to go mentally because they can all go physically. If you took them out the changing room and put them straight into a game on a Monday or a Wednesday night at training, they would be flying, you know, because they're there to enjoy themselves and they're playing a game, and they would probably expect to do a warm-up or some passing or some possession, but they're straight in a game, so they're buzzing because they're mentally ready to go. I think it's a mental issue, personally. I hate the cop-out of we need to change the warm-up. Like, players say it all the time, and it does my head in.
Well, would you change the warm-up for the 5 games that they won? Because it'll be the same warm-up.
Exactly. It says we're 8 unbeaten, but with a draw at home against Glenvale, the draw at home against Lugar, the draw at home against Port Glasgow, who were 9 men. So, I mean, Dino's saying, look, we're 8 unbeaten, but I'm not entirely happy with it. And he was just saying that they maybe lack a wee bit of cutting edge in the final third. And they brought in Ewan Smith from Whitletts during the week to try and give them that. And I think he's picked up a bit of a nasty injury yesterday, so hopefully he's okay.
That's not great. But having said that, and I know we're sadly going to have to talk about the Lugar result in a minute, but Lugar have clearly shown signs of improvement. I don't know what's happened there in the last 3 to 4 weeks, but they've clearly shown signs of improvement. That result yesterday was brilliant. They've shown a bit of grit last week because the game against the Ants, I know ultimately it's for nothing more than pride, but they go and beat the Ants 2-0 last week. It's the bottom 2 teams. There's no a win there. Back-to-back wins. They're clearly improving. So I understand that Girvan and Dino would expect to go and beat them, which I think most of us would. Glenvale as well, they're a funny one for me. I think that Lewis is doing a really good job there. And they're not a team that you can guarantee you're going to beat either. But again, if Girvan want to do it in the league, they have to go and beat these teams. And But a part of me as well is saying Girvan weren't great last year. I don't imagine there's been wholesale changes to the squad. There have been a few added here and there to make it better. So it's maybe just a case of sometimes reverting back to type. Now, you see, we'll talk about Darvel with the new manager coming in, where you can get a bounce and stuff. But see, eventually, you saw it with Jamie last year at the Meda. They had the ridiculous bounce and they started picking up points. And then they started losing games because players revert back to type eventually. That's what we always do. You fall back to the level you are eventually. And I know myself because I played with a lot of stinking teams and I was part of it. So you do eventually fall back to what your levels are. So maybe that's why Girvan are not seeing through these games where they're playing against the Port with 9 men or against Glenvale or Lugar. And in terms of what you're saying about warm-ups, I don't believe that's a thing either. Sometimes it's just a mental thing where you go in and you maybe know something could have happened at work that week. It's whatever it could be. You're just not ready for the game properly and you don't play as particularly well to start with. Mm-hmm. Then you need a wee jag at half-time.
Aye, I think he gave them a wee jag at half-time, shall we say. Easterhouse beat Kello 3-0. Great result for Easterhouse. Kello started the season really well, but have fallen away the last couple of weeks. But that's a good result for Easterhouse.
I think so. It's Easterhouse have been slightly disappointing for me this season. I expected them to be a wee touch higher, but I suppose they're sitting mid-table. It's a decent return considering they finished fourth in the 4th division last year and they've come up. Kello as well. I think that if they can get close to the top 8, then they've had a good season. And I think that is what it is, that result. It's one of those ones where if Kello had beaten Easterhouse, you wouldn't have been shocked, but Easterhouse have got the result done.
Aye, Fanat beat Glasgow Persia 1-0 and Port Glasgow lose at home to Lugar.
Right, let's move on to the 4th division.
I know. Didn't see that coming at all. I know Lugar, you said they've showed signs of improvement. They beat St Anne's last week, but I didn't expect them to go to Port Glasgow and win 3-0.
I don't know what's going on with the Port just now. I mean, 4 each we are dear. That's fair enough. 2 teams gone for it who looked like they're going for it to win the league. That's fair enough. A tight game where the Port's issue is they always lose too many goals. Then they get battered off a Knightswood. And that was obviously the last time I was on the Knightswood game. I maybe should stop coming on if the Port keep getting doings when I come on. But I spoke to Lewis, one of the coaches, Lewis, at Knightswood, who has now moved on. So good luck to him in his new role. But he said that the Port, the Port, they're very direct, back to front. That's how they play, and they squeeze the game really well. And for most of the time, it works. But they're playing in a big park at Rob Roy. Lewis says that Knightswood spread the game well. The Port went long. Knightswood opened it up, went in behind, but did it down the channels, and the Port didn't deal with it. And I think that I forgot his second name, but the boy that went to Kelty from the Port, the right back, Ben, I can't remember his second name, really good player, but see, losing somebody like him at the back, it has an impact on you. And I do feel at the Port, for the last 3 or 4 years, even before Tam took over, that is a weakness they have, is they lose far too many goals. They score a lot of goals and they're a really good team to go and watch, but defensively it kills them. And you can see that you're sitting 5th in the league, trying to go and win a league title, played 12 games and you're conceding at least 2 goals a game.
Mm-hmm.
Great win for Lugar.
You scored nearly 3 goals a game as well.
Aye.
But well done to Lugar. Okay, speaking about goals, West Park beat Vale of Leven 5-4 in the 4th division. But Carluke get back to winning ways against WOSFL. Thomas Devine, Carluke manager, was just saying he's glad to get back to winning ways after a couple of a sticky few weeks yesterday. They had good control of the game, but they took their chances and defended much better. They've got a few backs, so that made a difference, but the lads were excellent. Hit the reset button, and I think the only disappointment was that it could have been more comfortable. Keeps us in the mix in what's becoming an increasingly competitive league promotion race with everybody capable of beating each other. I think it was just important for Carluke to get a win.
Aye, I agree. I think it's what they've needed. Rossvale's probably been the right team for them to get. I believe that
Barry's
stepped in as well. So don't know if it's a coach for the 20s has come up and taken the team, but I think that it shows the job that Josh did there, where they were a bottom 3 or 4 team before he was there. Then they became a team who were fighting for promotion when he was there. And as soon as he left, and I know it was really difficult for Barry trying to replace the volume of players that left at the end of the season as well. But for Carluke, that's been a game they've needed. Kind of stops the rot a wee bit, keeps them back in, or gets them back in contention with East Kilbride. East Kilbride, they won yesterday, but I was in the cup, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Beat St Peters 2-0. So East Kilbride are doing really well and they're showing a lot of quality, but Carluke definitely needed that. And talking about the Vale leaving and West Park game, massive result for West Park, keeps them in contention as well at the top. I know played a couple of games more, but really keeps them in contention.
Aye, Thomas is absolutely right. It seems like, I think we thought Carluke were going to run away with it at one point, but now it's developing into a really exciting tussle.
Aye, it definitely is. And I think that you're looking at that league. I think East Kilbride will probably, based on how things have been going, will be the ones that will win it, but still a lot to play in. East Kilbride 25, Carluke 24, West Park 23, Irvine Vicks 23, Eglinton 21 with a couple of games in hand on the teams above them. That top five, it could be any of them, depending if some of them can throw good runs again. I think Vale leaving have probably a couple of defeats that they've had recently is kind of ended their chances of winning the league.
Yep, no, couldn't agree more. I was trying to find the new WOSFL manager's name and I couldn't find it while we were talking. Right, one game in the Scottish Communities Cup, round 3, Knightswood beating Lunkerty for the East Premier Division, I think. So I don't really have much on this game, but just thought I'd put it in there. But it's a good result for Knightswood beating a team for the East Premier.
Aye, I think it's a great result. And Knightswood are starting.
I did message Michael Pender for an update on it. Patch me, so I hope you. I don't want to see. I'm always wary about saying anything bad in case there's something wrong. So hope everyone's all right. But
don't be ignorant if it's no, Michael. But I think that Knightswood went through a wee sticky patch for 4 or 5 weeks, and despite the win against Support, it's been really good to see them doing well again. They're a good side. They're trying to do things the right way. They're a club that's trying to go in the right direction as well. So, and it's also, I think it was mentioned, I don't know if it was Craig McGee said it earlier on in one of the comments, but it's also really good just to see a West team beat an East team, and it's great when it's a lower league West team giving it to a higher league East team. So, great result there.
Yep. And good luck to them in the next round. West of Scotland League Cup round 1, Cambuslang 2, Glasgow Uni. I was a bit surprised at that. Thornleywood beating Ashfield. I'm not surprised at that, but good result for Cambuslang beating Glasgow Uni. I probably fancy Glasgow Uni to win that one.
You would think so, and that does seem to be an issue for Glasgow Uni. Is you get that wee bit of inconsistency with being a young squad, but no, well done to Cambuslang. You said you're not surprised that Thornleywood beating Ashfield. I was a bit surprised that it was only 1-0. And I don't mean disrespect to Ashfield.
Did you see any clips for it? The pitch
I suppose their Thornleywood's part's never the best, is it?
No, I'm saying that means that, but it's the old-fashioned leveler, I think, if you look at it.
I wonder, though, if Ashfield are starting to pick up a wee bit, because looking at the results, I've noticed that it's not been quite as bad for them the last few weeks. So maybe they are picking up, and
we put them out a bit, and they were like they didn't look like a team that was struggling, put it that way. Do you know what I mean? They had a bit of confidence about them, and they ran us close that day.
Aye, well, I mean, you look yesterday, lost by a goal with Thornleywood, which I think is a decent enough result. The week before, lost 2-1 to Bonneton, which again is not a shocker, particularly if Bonneton have turned up and they can be a good side on their day. And then a good 4-1 win against Forth the week before. So maybe the manager's Peter's getting his ideas across to his team, and it's starting to turn a corner for them.
Mm-hmm. Aye, definitely, and I hope so. It's always good. I like to see when you get new managers coming in, coming into post, try to rebuild something and getting put across new kind of ways and new ideas and stuff like that. I think it's always good to see.
Yep.
Like I said, I want every manager to do well apart from 2. Okay, West of Scotland League Cup round 2. Atherley 2, Eglinton 2. Really positive result for Eglinton. Although they lost in penalties, I think they'll take a lot of heart if you go into a Premier League team and holding them to 2 each.
Well, that's what we're talking about. You just mentioned there about it's good to see when new managers come in, and Kevin Deaney for me has done a very, very good job at Eglinton, and we don't know what type of team Atherley have put out yesterday. It might have been a few players rested or whatever. But even at that, Eglinton shouldn't be able to push Arthurlie right to penalties and narrowly miss out. So a really, really good performance or good result for them, and it could be one that could help grow confidence in the league. But Arthurlie will be looking at it as that's us through. It's another game that we've won. They're having a great season so far. So congratulations to Arthurlie.
Yep. Blantyre beating Bells Hill. Again, I don't know if that was... I know the last time I spoke to Johnny Fallon, I didn't speak to him this weekend, but the last time I spoke to him, he'd mentioned that he'd made a few changes for the last cup game, so I don't know whether maybe he's done the same with a view to the league, because I know I've said that they're one of the two best teams in the second division, but that's really their focus. But you still don't want to lose games.
I also think that you touch on that way, the second division, because the two of them, well, not so much Blantyre actually, they're not in that division. I thought they were. But
Blantyre in the second division.
Oh, fifth in the league, sorry. I went straight past them. They're a team who can definitely beat teams in that league, and they've only lost 2 in 11 games, Blantyre, in the league, so it shows that I think it's only Bells Hill and even Les Mahigo who have lost less games than Blantyre, so it shows that there's good quality there. If you're Johnny, maybe there might be a wee case of it might just be focusing on the league, because they'll really be wanting to go and win that league, particularly after the start they've had. But one that's interesting to me, is I know it's in the cup, Craig Martin, Dorai.
It's a bit of a marker, isn't it?
Big time, because I've spoke about it quite a few times this season about the fact that Dorai have beaten every single team that are, in quotations, contenders to win the league. Craig Mark's the only one they've no played in the league, but played them in the cup and went down there and beat them.
They've no beat Ardea. Ardea beat them, did they not? 4-3.
Did they? So Ardea's only one.
Ardea beat them 4-3.
Oh, they did, sorry. So Ardea's only one out of, I think, the top.
Come on, PG, you want this co-host job? Come on.
No, man, I'm having a nuke. They're the only team.
I'm trying too hard to impress. You're all right. I know.
I'm trying. I'm just nervous, mate. I'm a bit out of sorts. But that's Dorai beating 5 at the top 6 teams that they have to play against in contention to win the league. That for me shows a fair bit of quality and a bit of mental toughness as well. We talk about Girvan saying they're starting slow and it might be a mental thing. For me with Dorai, that's on the flip side, is they're able to just continuously go and beat the teams about them, and you win a league title if you do that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and Threave go to Irvine Meadow and draw 1 each again. We know Threave are a good side. I don't think MD's surprised that they would go there and give Irvine Meadow a game, and again unlucky to lose in penalties.
I think Threave are having a tremendous season, aren't they? They kind of started last season in the 3rd division, but they look stronger this year. And I think it was Ross Irvine scored yesterday, who it's just him and Harry Officer for me. I mention it all the time. The two of them, just every week you see them scoring goals, and I think that's a really good result and a marker as well when you're playing a Meda team who are top in the 1st division and looking at winning that league, definitely getting promoted into the Premier League. So I think Threave are definitely giving a really good account of themselves this season. We're
going to need to get you down to a Threave game.
I know. I should be guest of honour with how much I love them. Never seen them play though.
EK Thistle beat St Peters 2-0 and Royal Albert beat Campbelltown 2-0. I suppose I might as well mention this now. Did you see the video of Kenny Henderson from the weekend?
Kenny's a lovely man. What was that, though, Kenny? What was that?
Amazing. Absolutely outstanding.
I was very loud and a bit mad at the side, but I don't know what Kenny was enjoying before the game to be running about like that. I mean, it's great. It's great that he's very passionate and it's maybe helped his team, but that was mad. That was mad, Kenny.
It was. It was brilliant. It was funny. I was sending it on to everybody that I knew just to watch it. But it's hard to. Do you know what? It's hard to do that all the time. Do you know what I always felt like? And I probably shouldn't have felt this, and this is probably why I'm not a manager anymore. But I always felt like if I went on like that and then we get beat, I would just look silly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or if we're having a real hard game, like we're getting a doing off somebody, and then you stop because, do you know what I mean? So it's one of those ones. If you're going to be that persona, then you really need to buy into it full time. And I don't think there's any question that Kenny was buying into it.
I know.
You know,
it's interesting.
What I love. See, when he comes on here, he was on here 2 weeks ago. Such a nice guy, lovely
a good guy. I know.
But obviously football. But we've seen plenty of them. And do you know something? Football needs more characters like that. I want more people like Kenny Henderson involved in football, because we're losing the personality out of football.
What I would say as well is, for the clip, purely on a clip, Kenny says nothing about the other team other than one comment about them not wanting it, but that's a nothing comment.
When they kick it long for the kickoff, I think he says, like, "Oh, look at them just kicking out the park," or something.
But it's not like he's fighting with players for our team. He's just very passionate about his own team, and obviously it's no worked yesterday, but East Kilbride are probably the best team in that league on their day, and St Peter's, I think under Kenny, they will improve. Definitely will improve.
Aye, definitely. And as I said, more characters in football, please. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Right. South Challenge Cup, here we go. There was one game in round 3. St Roch's beats Crossgates Primrose. I know 0 about Crossgates Primrose. They play in East of Scotland First Division, so probably a team that St Roch's should be beating. And I should probably know who St Roch's playing the next round, but I don't.
I don't either. I don't. That was a good result for St Roch's, continuing what's been a good season so far.
Yep, absolutely. And good luck to them in the next round. Okay. Round 4. Here we go.
Another cup game.
Here we go. Another cup. But this is the one we're here to talk about, really, isn't it?
I know.
So, any results stand out to you?
Well, there is certainly three and a half that really stick out for me. But will we start with the big one?
Aye,
Jonny, what is your views on? We both watched the highlights today. What is your views on Muirkirk 4, Auchinleck Talbot 3?
So I think, did you watch the Alan McClucky's interview after the game as well?
Never, no.
So it's quite clear that the performance fell way below expectations. He was very clear to give credit to Muirkirk, and I think there's a tendency, especially in Scotland, whenever a team beats the Old Firm, there's always that tendency to talk about what the Old Firm did wrong or why that was a negative, So I think we need to make sure that we give as much credit to Muirkirk as we possibly can. I did speak to Ross Cusick. His performance probably going mental, and he was just saying he was really proud. They decided to be really aggressive, which I think we could see. First 5-10 minutes they were up against it, but weathered the storm. After I felt that, we get reasonably comfortable with our shape, scored 2 good goals before conceding a penalty. Half time, just asking for more of the same, and they were even better second half, scored another 2 cracking goals. Talbot wouldn't go away and kept pegging us back. I'm delighted the boys got it over the line, as it was thoroughly deserved for the committee, and it's the first win over Auchinleck since 1982, he's been told.
Wow.
But watching the highlights, PG, I don't know about you, right? But Auchinleck miss a 1-on-1 at 0-0 early doors, and those are the types of things that can turn the game completely. And I think that was a massive turning point in the game, because if that goes in, who knows where the game goes. And I think the goals that Auchinleck conceded were so un-Auchinleck like to me. And I did see, I don't know if any of the guys in the chat can enlighten us as to maybe the reasons for this, but they changed their goalie at half time.
Well, the keeper's got to do. I think the keeper's.
And I don't know if he was injured. Maybe Craig or the cycling chainsaw chap can tell us if the lad was injured. But I remember seeing that and thinking, "Woof! I wonder what's going on there." But he's got to do better for the free kick.
Aye, exactly. Do you think that would have been playing a part on it? What I would say though is that it's from the Talbot's highlights, right? So I know myself.
Craig saying he was injured, so fair enough.
Right, fair enough. There you go. It's from the Talbot
anyway.
It's from the Talbot highlights.
Wes Foderingham situation.
I don't know if I'd go quite that far. I think, do you know what? And I don't know. I think he's bottled it a wee bit, thinking he was going to smash himself off the post. Because you can see the way his hands go. I don't think he's fully committed on the save. But I like the wee bit of ingenuity for the Muirkirk player to have the audacity just to go for that. It was quite clever. What I would say though, it's the Talbot's highlights, and I know for a fact putting highlights together for clubs that I've been at, where you can make the highlights look how you want them to look. And you talk about the miss early doors at 0-0 to 1-1. But what I would say is, I thought, just based on one look over, didn't go back and watch again, but the one look over, Muirkirk should have had a penalty at 1-0 as well. I thought that the boy for the left sides came in, I thought it was taken out, and I thought it should have been a penalty. That puts it 2-0 again. But then at the same time as well, Ewan Thompson scored 2 penalties. So the Talbot they've not battered Muirkirk and no come away with a win. I think that Muirkirk showed a lot of quality. I agree with what you're saying with the un-Talbot-like mistakes. You look at the fact they started making the changes. Big Neil McPherson comes on, and you get Kyle McAvoy, Luke Main. They've obviously rested players, and it's backfired. But all the players came on when it was 2-1. So they didn't come on at 4-2 and start to change it. For me, you look at even Big Neil McPherson, the one, I don't know if it was the third goal, where, as I spoke about earlier, with Pollock defenders being very square to the side that the ball's coming in for. I thought Neil was very, very square. His whole body was just shaped up, facing the direction the ball was coming to.
It was the third one, because the fourth one was the overhead kick.
Aye, because he starts, you see Neil turn round, and you do that thing that we've all done when your man scored a goal, turns round and shouts at who's behind him, but you're like, but Neil, you had no idea he was there. And that's, for somebody that has quality, you wouldn't expect that. Somebody who's such a good defender. The overhead kick, though, I like that as well, because he knew as soon as he had it, he didn't even look back, he knew he'd scored, and it was a nice effort. I just think these things can happen. These things happen every season to teams. And a massive congratulations to Muirkirk, because I touched on earlier in the show, I don't think that they've been firing in all cylinders recently. So a massive one. The way they've pressed and harried and worked hard has put pressure on the Talbot and made the Talbot made mistakes. Talbot didn't just lose it. Muirkirk had to go and win it.
Yeah, and Craig's just saying that it doesn't think a single Talbot got close to pass marks, but it's interesting now. I remember listening to Alan McClucky's interview after the Largs game, and it was a similar kind of story. And now they go to go in and win 4-2 last week, which was a great result. And then they've had this one this week. Now they've got Vela Clyde coming to Auchinleck next week, whose tails will be up after a result that we're just about to talk about. So there's obviously something that Alan and Tommy will be the same, that they're not quite happy with. That's happening at the club at the minute. Now, they've had an unbelievable start to the season, but this kind of result could just give them a wee kick up the backside.
Well, we've spoken about it earlier. I mentioned it where players revert to type, and I know the Talbot have been tremendous. We've waxed lyrical about them this season and how phenomenal they've been, and even at the end of last season. But they've not been able to win a league title in a few years. And is this maybe a wee sign of a couple of games where they've not quite hit the levels? And again, that can happen to good teams regardless. But I'm maybe playing a bit of devil's advocate here, but is that a mentality thing? Because they had such a bad start the last 2 seasons and then had great runs, but they weren't able to hold it together for a full season. Is this them coming to a wee dip? We don't know, but I just think massive credit to Ross and his team at Muirkirk. Yeah,
outstanding result for them. And great. It's just, again, you'll probably be the same. Remember when Muirkirk were whipping boys, and it was an automatic 3 points.
I remember they were in our League Cup section at the start of the season when I played at Cumnock, and Kello and Muirkirk, they were the games you're all right. They were the games I always played because that was the games you rested players. So I got to play in the games, and you knew you would go and take 6, 7, 8 off them. So it's definitely a massive improvement.
Aye, the whole season as a whole, and that just kind of great result. And I suppose the thing for them is just to try and kick on from that and use it as the motivation that they can match up against these teams. And the Chainsaw chap was just saying there about Clydebank, it's very similar. I know we spoke about Clydebank. I mentioned it last week about that that Clydebank get put out the cups early last year and went on to win the league. But I don't think that'll be much comfort to anybody at Auchinleck tonight.
Nah, especially I don't mean to take it away for the Talbot because I think they've been tremendous this season. But Clydebank, it benefited them, like Cycling Chainsaw Chap says, it benefited them big time. I think it's part of the reason that they were so comfortable in winning the league last year. Winning the league this year doesn't have, I don't know, I don't want to say...
Don't say it doesn't matter.
Because it does matter. If you win the league, it always matters. But it didn't have the same level of pressure, in a sense, as last season. But I still think Talbot will go and win the league, to be honest with you, and it's maybe just a wee blip they've had the last couple of weeks.
Aye, and maybe a wee wake-up call. But next week will be really interesting. Vale of Clyde at home to see if they get that reaction in the Scottish Cup. I'm going to try and go to that game next week. My 3-year-old was being incredibly selfish this weekend and got no well, so I didn't get to go to a game. But I'm hopefully going to come up to Auchinleck on Saturday to see them against Vale of Clyde in the Scottish Communities Cup.
No game for me next week. I will be going to take my daughter to see Wicked next Saturday.
Nice. And I did ask Ross if he want to go on the show next week, and he gave me the custard. So that's what I say. This is one win against Auchinleck, and he's too big for a show now. Do you know what I mean?
I'm going to revert to type and say I think Muircut will get relegated.
Speaking of Vale of Clyde, another fantastic result for them, beating Hurlford 4-1. John Hughes was just saying after the high of last week's performance and result, there was perhaps a worry about how the young side would perform in terms of consistency. But he says they were great, dominated the game from start to finish. Delighted to continue unbeaten run and be in the draw for the last 16 of the South Challenge Cup.
It's a brilliant result. I mean, Hurlford have been great this season. We've touched on it quite a few times, and I know you have as well. It's you know what it's like in the cup, particularly when you're going away from home, and maybe they've not played a full strength team, maybe they have, but see when you've got Saversi scoring hat-tricks, and he's scoring most weeks, he's nearly as good as Ross Irvin. He just scores all the time. I think people wondered when he was at Irvin Vicks if he could make a step up, and he's clearly shown that it's not been an issue for him. And I know teams always celebrate together, but I feel it's when I watch Vale of Clyde, there seems to be a real togetherness for their team, and that's probably why they're doing so well. And I suppose that's credit to John for who he's bringing in, because you look at losing Big Paul Dunny at the start of this season, who scored a lot of important goals for him, and then you replace him. It's credit to John with how well he's done.
Aye, Alessandro, always liked him. We tried to get him at Maybole to step for what would be the third or the fourth up to us with the second, and when we saw he was obviously going to John and Vale of Clyde up in the first. But I like him. What I like about him is he's a really honest striker. He gives you 110%. He's a real pest, and I mean that in the best possible way. And he can finish as well, which you can't really ask for much more. But a great result, and disappointing for Hurlford, but they've had a good start to the season. So again, it's one you're just hoping you can brush off.
It's like we said earlier, it's just one of the results sometimes. Great for Vale of Clyde. Hurlford just brush it off and go on with it.
Cup football, can't beat it. And the final giant killing, if you like, Neilston beating Largs. Neilston off the back of a great win last week at Ardrossan. Take care of business against Largs. Fantastic result for Neilston.
Brilliant. Andy's done a great job there. I really think he's done a great job there. They're such a competitive team now, and we know how. I can't speak highly enough, Arnie. I think that he's should be the next Talbot manager when Tucker decides to step down. I think that it would be great to see Arnie with a better budget and see what he can do, because he keeps that team so competitive every year with a budget that's probably on the smaller side in that league, but manages to keep most of his best players as well, which is a sign of how good a coach and how good a guy he is. So it's a great result for Neilson. But again, with Largs, you just say, that's what it is. You move on to the next game. I want to mention Cumbernauld, really good result against Beath. I think Greenock beating Dundonald, who are sitting mid-table in the Premier League in the East. Real good quality result for them, particularly away from home. And finally, Glenafton beating Johnson Borough. I think that Johnson Burr is a funny one. I can't work out this season. I don't know whether I want to go in and slaughter them, or do you just say...
You normally do.
I know. But do you say Glenafton are a good side? It's a team in the league, in their league. It is what it is. It can happen. I just don't feel like it's been good enough for the Borough this season. But well done to Peyton and his team.
Aye, I was messaging Greg because I was saying you better put the earmuffs on because PG's on the show tonight. He'll be coming for you if you've got any.
Worst team in the world, Johnson Borough.
It just says that no excuses for yesterday. Missed too many chances in the other box. Never defend their own well enough. Get what you deserve if you do that. Aye, so he says wait till you see a third goal. Trundler goes back to Scullion, goes down to pick it up, and it hits a crater and bounces over his head into the net.
Remember the Tim Sher?
Sounds similar. But I just says you've just got to take it after a result like that, and it's just one of those things. But it's a good result for Glenafton. Like you said, I think it's one of those ones where because they're both in the same league, I think you're always looking for ones that are a bit of an upset. Like you said, even Cumbernauld beating Beath, I think it's a great result.
Yep.
And there was another one as well. Though with Thorn losing to Trinent 3-1. Haddington take care of Glasgow United 7-0. I was a bit surprised at that, but maybe Big Effie was tired after the Masters, so maybe go in and come drawing one each. And there was another one. Who beat St Andrews? I'm just waiting in the ticker.
That was Glencairn, was it? Beat them 1-0.
Aye, I think that's a good result as well. That deserves getting talked about because again, you're travelling through. You don't really know what you're going to get. To get through there and win 1-0 is a really solid result. But just to touch on something that one of the comments that we got for Craig earlier on was about the cup competition as a whole. Just saying he was not surprised to see bigger clubs exit the South Challenge early, no real prize money, etc. More a distraction than anything. I don't necessarily agree with Craig because I don't think clubs think like that, especially managers, coaches, players. Don't really give a jot about whether cup competitions have got prize money, etc. It's a cup and you want to win it. What's your thoughts?
I'd agree. I know there's teams I've been at and stuff and guys I've spoken to who, when they're really pushing for league titles or whatever, they've put teams out in cups and it's been very much like it doesn't matter too much if we lose, but see when they lose, they always seem a bit unhappy with it. So I think that you maybe like the Talbot yesterday didn't go full strength, but again you saw with the changes that were made that they wanted to try and win it at the end, and I think it's a good habit to be in, is to try and win games. But you're talking about no prize money, which is obviously a shambles at the biggest cup competition in the country in terms of professional and semi-professional football. But I was talking to somebody yesterday, and John, I'm going to need you to help me here because my knowledge is shocking. What's the name of the All Junior Cup now? What's that called again?
Communities Cup.
Communities Cup. So there was a meeting recently about that, about trying to make sure that it continues, and it's looking good that that's going to be the biggest competition in the country now as well. Highland League teams and what's the league up in Dundee with? The North Caledonian one.
Yeah, it's got a funny name,
something like that. So apparently they two teams won't be, the two leagues aren't interested in coming in, which makes sense considering the distances that we need to be travelled. But everybody else looks to be on board with it. So the East, the West, the South, and the Lowland League. But again, the reason I bring that up is, like the All Junior Cup, that's a competition that is good prize money.
Mm-hmm. It'd be good if we could get a competition that's like at all the non-league clubs in Scotland, like they do in England. Is it the FA Vaz or the FA?
Vaz,
you know, where it's all the non-league clubs. Now I know that there would be, Christ, you would be looking at 200 clubs maybe or something around about that kind of way. But you would start it early enough. But it would be good if they could get something along those lines, because I do like, one of the reasons that I do like the South Challenge Cup is it does give that opportunity to come up against somebody new and challenge yourself, even against Lowland League opposition. Now, one result that's not in there is the Ardere result today, but Sean won't be too happy as bringing it up. But Stirling Uni beat Ardere 10-0 today.
Really?
I had Sean on my show Now Ayrshire Radio on Saturday, or show on Now Ayrshire Radio yesterday, and he was mentioning that they were 28-1, and he just texted me the now there saying 28-1 looked as if it was a bit harsh in Stirling Uni. But listen,
it's a shocker.
See, the thing is, though, you see if you look at it going into it, Stirling Uni, they played 17 games and they've scored 41 goals, so they've conceded 44, but they're obviously good going forward.
If you'd said that Ardale lost 5-0, I'd have been like, it's a bit of a sore one, but there's a few leagues separating them, but I think that you shouldn't really be losing 10-0 to anybody.
I know, I watched his interview just now there, and he looked as if, as you would, after getting beat. To fair play to him fronting up, though. It's always I always find it funny when you see these interviews, these managers that are quite happy to do interviews after they win, but then as soon as they get beat, you don't see anything on their social media feeds.
That's definitely no Sean anyway.
No, and it's good. I think you need to do it, as we said with like Kenny at St. Piers. If you're going to put yourself out there, you need to put yourself out there 100%. You know, and do it.
We get that. You know what I mean? The amount of messages that when I did the show on a Sunday night about you, I used to get messages regularly about you telling the truth about teams and them not liking it, and it appears that you're now getting the messages for when I'm on.
Aye, I know how the tables have turned, but that's I know that's okay. That's okay. But so I do like the competition. I know what guys people are saying about the prize money, but I think just the opportunity to play somebody different is always appealing.
Well, you look at the Thorn losing to Trinent. I mean, for me, that's a decent result. The Thorn look like they've kind of found their level in the second division just now, which we thought might be the case eventually. I thought they'd maybe be able to push into the first, and then that would be the level for a while. But it appears it's the second. But again, you look at where they've come from. They get to play Trinent. It's maybe a wee money maker for their gate, because everybody knows about Trinent at this level and how good they are. And maybe you maybe get some more locals for Johnson going through to the game just because it's Trinent, and it can bring them in a wee bit extra revenue.
Yep. Okay, mate. Anything else you want to, any news or any rumours you want to throw at me?
I could maybe make some up if you wanted. No, I'm good, mate. No, I'm good.
So next week we've got a few league games, and then we've got the Strathclyde Cup. We've got the More West of Scotland Cup.
I'm sick of the cups, man. Don't bring me on the cups again.
I know, and then we've got the Communities Cup next week, so the Junior Cup, if you like, so which is next week. So that'll be interesting. There's a few good ones. Johnstone Borough play Renfrew. Kilbirnie play Dundee North End. Lars go to Lesmahago, looking to bounce back after last weekend. Like I said, I'll hopefully go to Auchinleck, Vivella Clyde. And Benburn play Tayport, old I don't think Tayport are the team they once were, but I like when you see the old East teams that you remember.
Hi. Who was it you said are playing Renfrew?
Johnston Borough.
Do you know, I meant to actually mention it with Renfrew beating Shots again. I know it's the cup, but that's another sign with Renfrew. I mean, that's a league game. That's another 3 points Renfrew have picked up, and I just think I'm really happy that it appears that they're trying to get a license, because I would love to see them get promoted. Obviously, it's my local team, and my brother played for them. It's a team I really like, and I really like Jimmy. I think they're a club who, again, it's not all about budgets, but they've got a smaller budget, and it's just brilliant to see them through there well.
Aye. Hey Craig, I'm quite happy to go anywhere. Don't worry. My wee man would cause absolute havoc in the committee room anyway. So, but I'm always open to a free cup of tea and a pie. Absolutely. Although I have to lay off the pies according to Alan McCluskey.
That's right.
Aye. But listen, mate, that's been good. It's been a good 10 minutes covering everything. Like we said, for the people that don't know, with the Saturday show, unfortunately, not continuing. Basically, I've asked PG to come on every second week with me and give us some insight and have some conversation. We're still going to have managers every second week as well, but I just felt that it gives us more of a kind of open conversation, because we know what managers are like. they're loath to kind of criticise MD. I think anybody that listened to Sean last week would have heard him. We even joked about it, about the fact how he was just saying how amazing everybody was. And I think it's only natural. I wouldn't expect anything less. But it's good to have this kind of conversation with PG. So PG will be joining us every second week if you're up for it, mate.
I can't get a coaching role anywhere, so I may as well just slaughter everybody.
I just go for it. Just hand grenades all over the place. Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. But no, it's been good. Thanks for coming on.
Delighted to be on, mate. Cheers.
Good. Remember, if you are watching the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the Pyramid Promotions channel. If you are listening in audio form, make sure you download and rate and review on your podcast networks. Disappointing return in terms of average goals this weekend, PG. I'm not happy. 131 goals in 37 games. Averages out at 3.5 goals a game. By the way, it's still an impressive average, but I like it when we're over 4.
Agreed. But still good value for money. And we maybe put it down to the weather not being so hot yesterday, and the pitch has been a bit bobbly.
Yeah. And hopefully now with the cold coming in, we don't get games off.
But I did a 10k run this morning, a race, and I'm no kidding. It was at Bellehouston Park, the Palace Arts beside it, and it looked frozen for the Sunday League game it was on. It was Baltic.
Aye. But no, fingers crossed. I'm sure AstroTurfs and things like that will probably come to our rescue, believe it or not. So, listen, regardless of what happens, even if there's no games, I guarantee you I'll still be here and we can talk nonsense for 20 minutes. About anything you want to talk about. But listen, thanks to everybody that's joined us today. All your comments and questions, as always, much appreciated. If you're looking for value for money, get out and support your local West of Scotland Football League team, because I'm sure they'll appreciate it. Until next Sunday at 7 o'clock, I've been Jonny Baillie. He's been PG. Take care of yourselves and each other. Cheers.